Hi, everyone. Anytime you read, you need to make sure you're really grasping what's being said. Now, many of us, we all have our favorite literature. Maybe you like to read about adventure. Maybe you like to read a mystery. Maybe you just like reading any book that has a story in it. It depends. Everybody's different in that way. But one thing we all have to know is you gotta know how the author is communicating. Now, I'm going to give you an example of a book that I'm not going to give you the title of because the title is not necessary. It's probably a book that you really haven't looked at before because it's probably something you wouldn't find in a classroom. Don't worry, it's a good book. I didn't dream it up or make it up. It's for real. In fact, it's a bestseller. But it's the kind of book that, well, it's an interesting book, but it's it's probably one that you would find more at the college level, but you can read it too. So let me read just a portion of what it is. It says here American citizens need to remember that members of Congress serve at our pleasure and can be voted out of office anytime the electorate becomes dissatisfied with their performance. The founders anticipated that the federal government would have to be reined in by average American citizens who are willing to educate themselves and vote intelligently. Now, see, now you know why I didn't give you the title of the book, simply because you'd like, oh my God, not that stuff. But anyway, just go with me for a minute. What you have here is some very interesting reading. Why is it interesting? Well, let's look at what it says. I said here again. It says American citizens need to remember that members of Congress serve at our pleasure. That's the first few words. American citizens need to remember that members of Congress serve at our pleasure. At our pleasure. Right there, you've got a meaning jumping out at you. Right there, you got a concept that's getting your attention. But that's what you've got to understand. It's all about what the concept is. It says here American citizens need to remember. The writer of this has a point they're making. They're making the point that you and I have part to play in what goes on in our government. Now, like I said, it gets a little deep, but that's okay. We can handle it. Now let's read a little further. At our pleasure and can be voted out of office anytime the electorate becomes dissatisfied with their performance. Now, if you have a strong enough understanding of the English language, and I say that with all goodness and kindness, some of us know some words better than others. That's not a bad thing, it's just fact. There are some words that even yes, I know you're going to have a hard time believing this, but even me, even I have a hard time remembering and understanding. Now, don't laugh. I know I'm very smart. Don't laugh at that either. But everybody, adults, young and old, have words that they struggle with. And that's part of getting the reading down. Watch what we said here again. I'm going to read it one more time. American citizens need to remember that members of Congress serve at our pleasure and can be voted out of office anytime the electorate becomes dissatisfied with their performance. Okay, that alone right there gives you a meaning as long as you understand what the words are saying. First word, American citizens. We get that. Need to remember that members, they need to have, you got to remember that members of Congress serve at our pleasure. In other words, if we like them, they stay. If we don't, they go. Okay? All right. And can be voted out of office. Can be voted out. In other words, get rid of them. Anytime the electorate, you say, okay, what's the electorate? There, I knew that word would get you. The electorate is all of us who are allowed to vote. Now, granted, you're saying, look, hey, I'm only in junior high. I can't vote yet. And maybe some of you are watching right now. You might remember me from 8th grade, and you're saying, I know you from 8th grade. I'm in 9th grade now. Yeah, but you're still not 18 yet. Gotcha. See, if you're 18, then you'll be able to register to vote. Before you get to be 18, sorry. But you're still, the people who are part of the electorate are the people who can vote. And those people who sign up and register and go out there, they are the ones who can say yay or nay to somebody in office. So the electorate is those who vote, becomes dissatisfied with their performance. The founders anticipated. Who are the founders? Well, the people who wrote our Constitution. Alexander Hamilton was one. I'm trying to remember all the names off the top of my head. I can't think of them all. But look them up. You'll figure it out, okay? But my point is this. These people were important because they were part of writing the founding documents of our country. And I think of Thomas Jefferson, and we think of what's his name, Alexander Hamilton, and there was another Aaron Burr, but I don't think he was one of the writers. Anyway, these are people that are around in those days. George Washington wasn't writing the document; he was out fighting wars for us. He was a general. But my point is, he was a founding father. I shouldn't say he was the first president of the United States. My point I'm trying to make is this: the people who established our country were the people that are referring to. And yes, I'm sorry. George Washington was considered the father of our country, our first president. He won the Revolutionary War. He was definitely a founding father. Excuse me. Sometimes it's early in the morning, so I don't always think straight. But anyway, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, all men who believed America deserved freedom and were a part of the founding of the nation. And then you got the founders anticipated that the federal government would have to be reined in. What is reined in? R-E-I-N-E-D. Hold in. Yes, like a horse. Whoa, horsey. Hold them in. Reined in. All right? By average American citizens who are willing to educate themselves and vote intelligently. There. We just got ourselves through a paragraph. See, reading is actually fun, but you gotta take the moments to do it. You gotta focus. You gotta try your best. Friends, I know you can do it. Hey, if I can read this thing, you can too. So remember, read, folks. You gotta read. See you next time. And by the way, have a good summer. It's just July. Later.